There are many basketball legends that never played in the NBA but still left such a trace on the game that they ultimately developed an iconic status. Some of them streetball legends, some international stars, and some even high school players. We bring you the 10 greatest basketball players to never play in the NBA. Marcus Haynes is often regarded as the best ball handler the world has ever seen. He inspired legends like Bob Cousy and Pistol Pete Maravich. Legend says Haynes could dribble a ball 6 times in a second. He revolutionized ball handling, and his exploits in that field helped him secure a spot with the Harlem Globetrotters. Haynes retired in 1992 after a 46-year professional career, and was inducted to the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame in 1998. He died at the age of 89 in 2015. Raymond Lewis received 250 college basketball scholarship offers before settling on Cal State Los Angeles in 1972. The following year, Lewis was the youngest player ever drafted and signed in the NBA. Unfortunately, Lewis never played a game in the NBA after a contract dispute with the Sixers. He proceeded to torch NBA players in the highly regarded Los Angeles Summer Pro League, dropping 54 points a game. Lewis claims he was blackballed, as he tried out for multiple NBA and ABA teams but never got a contract. He died at the age of 41 back in 2001 after a lengthy illness. Joe the Destroyer Hammond was known for setting a Rucker Park single-game record with 82 points. After high school, Joe had the Lakers knocking on his door. But like some streetball legends of his era, he turned them down because he was making much more money in the streets. Hammond used to destroy defenses, thus the name The Destroyer. Joe once walked into a game against Dr. J during the second half and torched him for 50 points. Hammond could have been one of the greats, but he had no desire to. He played ball in his spare time and figured the drug game would last forever. Today he is a recovering addict. Unfortunately, Benjy Wilson never had a chance to show the world what he was capable of. When Michael Jordan was dominating with the Bulls, Benjy was taking the amateur hoops world by storm. Sadly, he was gunned down in an altercation near his high school during his senior year. He was named the nation's #1 high school player a couple of months prior to being murdered on the streets of Chicago. He was 17 years old. They used to call him Magic Johnson with a jump shot. ESPN did a phenomenal 30 for 30 documentary on Benjy. It's definitely a must-see. Every true basketball fan knows about the unstoppable duo of Hank Gathers and Bo Kimble. They led Loyola Marymount to national prominence with their monstrous offense. Gathers was already labeled as the next NBA star until he first experienced problems with his heart in December of 1989. Gathers had an abnormal heartbeat, but did not take the necessary medication because he felt it had negatively impacted his performance. Following an alley-oop dunk in the 1990 West Coast Conference Tournament, Gathers suffered a hypertrophic cardiomyopathy and passed out on the court. He never recovered, dying only months before he was projected to be the #1 pick in the NBA. Oscar Schmidt once scored 46 points in a Pan Am game against the United States that featured David Robinson, Danny Manning, and Purvis Ellison. A game Brazil won 120-115 after trailing 68-54 at halftime. Schmidt is like the Jordan of international hoops. The Brazilian legend played for 26 years and scored a total of 49,703 points, approximately 11,000 more than Kareem. He also scored the most points in an Olympic game with 55 and averaged damn near 30 per contest in his Olympic career. Oscar had plenty of chances to play in the league, but he instead chose to stay overseas, in Brazil, Italy and Spain. This way he would be eligible to play for the Brazilian national team anytime. Kirkland famously turned down a contract to play for the Chicago Bulls because he made more money hustling. Legend has it, Kirkland executed the first crossover and spin to the basket. During the 60s and 70s, Pee-wee would pull up to the Rucker in a Rolls Royce and drop 50. While in jail, he scored 100+ points a couple of times in various prison leagues. He had the opportunity to play with Kareem in UCLA, but was too caught up in the gangster lifestyle. If he would have chosen a different path, Pee-wee could have become a great NBA player. Earl Manigault was unfortunately another guy who got caught up with the wrong crowd. He was one of the most gifted players to ever step on a basketball court. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar went so far as to say that the GOAT was the greatest basketball player he had ever played against. Legend has it that the GOAT had a 52-inch vertical leap, which would be 4 inches higher than Michael Jordan's NBA record at 48. Regrettably, the GOAT developed a heroin addiction in Harlem and spent several years in prison early in his adult life, and it all went downhill from there. Len Bias was the total package. In his senior year at Maryland, Bias averaged 23 points per game along with 7 rebounds per game and was the first team All-American. He was the 2-time ACC Player of the Year. Boston Celtics, the reigning NBA champions, drafted Bias with the 2nd pick in the 1986 NBA draft. Sadly, Bias was found dead in his Maryland dorm room from a cocaine overdose only 1 day after he was drafted, at the age of 22. Len Bias had a unique mix of talent and athleticism, and many believe he would have been one of the best ever to play in the league. ESPN did a phenomenal 30 for 30 documentary on Bias, also a must-see. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoy our content, please subscribe.